So this is my final reflective journal, 6.2. And this is just supposed to be like an overview of the whole trimester and like connecting clinical scenarios. So I'm just going to go through kind of like week by week and see if I can think of like ways that this was applied. In my preceptorship, I have been kind of in a almost primary role for a really long time, it feels like. So some of the stuff is just kind of review, it feels like. But there was also a lot of good information. So like shared decision making, things like that. We are pretty big on that at work. So I always go through stuff like that during prenatal exams or prenatal interval visits, like talking about like what we are going to do or offer, or whatever, informed choice and things like that. Let's see, Leopold maneuvers, things like that. That was also kind of a review. Stages of labor. I actually took childbirth education with Audrey, I think was who I was with. And so I had to create a whole handout, or had to create a childbirth education class. And so I've been teaching that at the birth center. So I kind of had all of that already done too. A lot of the assignments, in all these classes are the same. Vaginal examination video. That's something that I still don't feel super, super confident in. If someone's in labor, I feel like I can do it pretty well. But prior to labor, my preceptor likes to do a vaginal exam, usually at 40 weeks or 41 weeks. And most people seem to want it. If they don't, of course, we don't, like force it or anything like that. But she likes to do those. And so I've been trying, and it's very, very difficult for me before labor. But I just keep trying. And I try to explain to people, like I'm a student, and unfortunately the only way to learn is to do it. There's no real way to practice without practicing on someone, and if they're okay with it, then I do it, and if not, then I'll just have my preceptor do it. Let's see, mechanisms of labor. That's also another kind of like review. Let's see, vital signs, things like that. Trying to see what else, just trying to do like an overview. I found the AROM discussion board pretty interesting, especially because I'm pretty sure my group was explaining the pros of AROM or why you should do it. So that was kind of difficult for me. Coming up with the protocols for all of the different managements of labor was assignments that'll be handy when I start my own practice for the first and second stages, and third stage, and then immediate postpartum and all that. Those were all kind of what we do where I work too, so like it was pretty easy to type those out. Sterilization, breech presentation. I thought that was so like when we talked about that, I haven't seen a breech baby yet, and I'm kind of grateful, and I'm kind of like waiting, for that, because I think it's gonna be interesting when it does happen. There was, in the cord cutting demonstration, my preceptor showed me kind of how to do it once or twice, and then she was like, no, you get to do it from now on. Same with like catching babies. She's just like, yep, you know how to do it now, so you get to do it now. The management of the third stage in that week, I think it was in that week, I'm pretty sure, in the live, I don't know if it was that week or if it was after that. It seems like it might have been after that, when you were talking about apparently you'd had a cord avulsion the night before and mentioned it in class, but we didn't really talk much about it, and I kind of wish that we would have, because 2 days later we had one at work also. So I wish that we would have discussed more what to do, but I do feel like I handled it pretty well. So I was trying to deliver the baby in the water, and the head came out, and my preceptor really wanted her to get the baby out right away. There really wasn't an indication, in my opinion, to get the baby out that fast. There wasn't anything wrong or anything, but she asked for her to keep pushing, and didn't really have a lot of force behind the pushes because she wasn't having a contraction. And we've talked about all this since then, but she ended up having somewhat of a sticky shoulder, and I feel like could potentially be because she didn't have a contraction and she didn't have a lot of force behind the push. But anyways, my preceptor ended up switching places with me and delivering the baby, and when she pulled the baby up out of the water, the cord snapped. So it was interesting. She had the baby facing away from her when she pulled him up out of the water, so the baby was facing toward me. And as soon as I saw it happen, I just yelled out, "Cord avulsion!" and went over there and grabbed him, which I didn't even realize I did this until we watched the video afterward. We have a whole video of the whole thing, so that was great. But I ran over there and grabbed the baby and pinched his umbilical cord with my hand, and then took him to, we have like a little cart that we keep all of our supplies on, which has a kind of a sterile field on the top. And I just laid him down on there and used a pair of hemostats to clamp it. Or she did, actually. My preceptor used that, and then I just went ahead and got the umbilical cord clamp and just clamped it off. So then she took the baby and started stimulating him, and so when she had him, I took off running into the where we keep some supplies and grabbed another pair of hemostats and came running back into the birth room and clamped off the umbilical cord that was coming out of the mom. I never read about a cord avulsion. The only thing I'd ever heard about was, well, I don't think that I've read much about it, but it did come up like 2 days before that. So I was like, I wish we would have thought more about talking about it, because thankfully I did what probably should have been done, but I wasn't exactly sure what to do. So after that, I spent, a day or two reading up on cord avulsions and like how they're somewhat more prominent in water births and things like that. So my preceptor was happy. She was like proud that I was able to take care of that, but and it all turned out okay, but it was just a very hectic moment. So that was definitely a clinical connection. Although we didn't really talk about it in class, and it didn't come up in this actual course, I don't think. Let's see, postpartum instructions. I made a postpartum instruction video. I'm a talker, but I made a video and it was over 10 minutes long, and I think I got docked a point for being too long. But after I submitted the video, I could think of things that I didn't even say in the video that I should have said. But that's the good thing about being in the setting that we're in. We can take longer to talk things out and things like that. And then APGARs, that's something I've been doing for quite a while. And then, of course, immediate postpartum. Definitely something I've been doing for quite a while. And gestational age assessment. So it's kind of cool to be doing all this stuff in clinical setting before taking a class like this. I think it definitely makes it easier because I'm definitely a hands-on learner. So I feel like 95% of what I learn anyways is in my preceptorship. So it just makes going through these classes a little bit easier, and then taking what I do learn from the class and applying it in the clinical scenario too. So I think that's about it for all of my journal reflections. Thanks.